Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the JD Mechanic Podcast. It is still hot as Hades up here in Canada, and it's your guy's a little. What's the word? It got a little swamp ass going on every day, like 100 consistently in the shop every afternoon. It's a small shop, no AC, all the kind of stuff that everybody talks about. And yeah, it gets hot. So if I get a little giddy, it's because I've ate like 6 freezies in the afternoon. I had an ice cream cone, a couple bottles of Gatorade. So, hydration's important. But that being said, life is good. And I'm sitting here with somebody that kind of reached out to me and I reached out to them and I just said, hey, if you want to be on, as always, like everybody's welcome here. And a gentleman named Dory Carlin, which I don't know. Are you related to the Carlin?
Uncle George.
Uncle George.
In my family, we refer to him as Uncle George, but as far as I know, there's no relation. But man, he's got some fantastic points to ponder, right?
He was a guy that could make you think, and hopefully you'll be a guy to make us think too. So, Dory, how are you tonight, brother?
Fantastic. The weather is just as bad and gross down here.
Yeah.
I'm in Western Pennsylvania, in the good old United States here, and I was always under the impression you guys had colder weather, but it sounds like it's just as gross up there too.
It made the headlines up here, like the local headlines. We were actually hotter in Kingston, Ontario than Houston was the other day.
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine.
We get the extremes because we're like literally right on the shore of Lake Ontario, and that size of water mass definitely has an effect. Like lake effect winter is really bad, and then the humidity up here sucks terribly.
Man.
So we see traditionally, like, you'll see, like, so people get mad at me when I do the Celsius thing, but you'll see lots of summer days you get up over 100 in the afternoon. And then in the wintertime, like, it's nothing to go out and it be minus 30 when you go out and I fire up my Jeep to go to work in the morning. So, I mean, we do have some pretty extreme weather up here. And I mean, you just get used to it. But like, I have never been a person that's been bothered by cold. Like the only thing, my ears can be falling off. If I can move my fingers, I'm good, right? And it's when I am uncomfortably hot that I get terrible. So,
Automotive started because a couple industry friends and I were hanging out, and we realized that the number one challenge all the shops that we worked with for many decades faced was finding technicians. You hear technician shortage over and over out there, and we're not bringing kids into the industry today, and there's thankfully lots of other companies out there who do focus on that, but we believe that part of the technician shortage is the leakage coming out of the funnel. The people that are working with shops or dealers that aren't treating them right, they're just paired with the wrong environment, with the wrong owners. The technicians, instead of looking for new jobs and new opportunities, decide to leave the industry or they get jaded on it. And we believe that there's a fit out there for the right techs with the right shops. And if we do that, then they're going to stay in the industry, and we're going to help, at the end of the day, the shortage by keeping technicians in the field. Promotive started just by realizing there's really not that many resources for technicians. Of course, there's certifications that they can get, and they can advance their skill set by doing hands-on training, or they can advance their skill set by testing, but there's not that many companies out there focused on making the technicians more successful in other areas. For example, knowing what their career path can be if they don't want to stay as a technician in the future.
The winter has never really bothered me as long as I could move my fingers. Like, I don't like frostbite on my hands. That sucks. Trying to do things outside on field service in the winter was terrible for my fingers. But like the rest of the time, I'm comfortable most of the time, not really bundled up compared to a lot of the people in the wintertime. I don't know why. It's the way I've always been. I've always worked outside a lot of the time when I was young, and I just think it's something to get used to. The heat, I can't do it. I just like it has a weird effect on me. Like, and I feel I feel really bad now because it's bothering me more as I'm aging. And it used to.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It will get you. I mean, that was one of the prerequisites. We have a little two-bay shop, and we have air conditioning. Like
Right.
we're old and grumpy, and dude, you get me in heat, me and my business partner will fist fight. So keeping us cool and calm works great.
So you're just a little operation then. If you're
Oh
too.
yeah. Do you have like Esso stations back in the 60s, gas stations, old school? There was Esso, Ohio. They were all basically Exxons, back in the days. And we got a hold of a 60s Esso gas station that was pretty much abandoned.
Mhm.
And I worked with one of my childhood friends at a Lexus dealership. And it took us a couple years, but one day I called him. I was like, hey, we need to go look at this place. And I have a dream.
Right.
And that was it. So yeah, we're rolling, and we're a little two-bay shop. We just have our first real employee. He's 21, and man, he's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and we're figuring out how to make that jump from you're working the cars, you're writing the orders, you're making the sales, and then you're fixing them to, hey, we now have an employee. I have a front desk. So we're like right in that little realm of, I hear you talking about all the time for business owners, of making that jump.
And it's so funny, right? Because I'm not a business owner. It's just like I've spent the better part of 20 years. Like that's when I first got to know Lucas online. And then we always discuss the business, and we discuss the business from my very limited, understanding of it. But I'd worked in a lot of different types of automotive repair. I started in a 4-bay old gas station in that, has since been knocked down, bulldozed.
They all have. They've all disappeared. They don't exist anymore.
And, I've worked in the truck shop. I've worked in a 10-bay bus garage. I've worked in, road service for like lots of things. So we would always discuss the business side of things and just the industry in general. So I always, from my perspective as a technician, I never wanted to own my own business. It was something that I thought I got close to doing because I thought that was going to be my only option, because I knew I was hard to employ. Because, I'm kind of arrogant. And I'm kind of like, I'll ask the questions. Obviously, look at me, right? Like I'll ask the questions that a lot of people don't bother to ask or don't really want to know the answer to, and I'm always going to ask it, because like if it's different than what I think, then I'm going to learn something. And if it's what I think, then you're going to reaffirm it for me, is the way I've always thought. And so it makes me, a challenge sometimes to employ, because it's not that I can't fix the cars, but I always knew that we as an industry were undervaluing ourselves. I knew that from the first year in, and it wasn't like my, other people around me had told me, oh, it's always going to suck. Because I had all the enthusiasm starting out. And a year in, I'm like, man, we're letting these people go, for too light. And I mean that from the kind of work that we put in for the type of pay we were getting out. And it's just, that's where my perspectives have always come from the business side. So it's funny now when the shop owner's like, oh, your insight on business. Whoa.
Well, hey, I say, I'm kind of the same ilk. I was 20 years at dealerships.
Yeah.
I worked for Lexus. I've worked for Nissan. I've master certified Mercedes-Benz mechanic.
Wow.
And I always like to say, I've worked at places that taught me how to do it right, and I worked at places that taught me how to do it wrong.
That's right.
And they're equally valuable. Just like everything that's happened in my life, sometimes being taught the wrong way is incredibly more valuable, because you can look back on it and go, well, I don't have to waste my time doing it that way. I know that way doesn't work.
Yeah.
I can try something else, and that's basically the root of it.
And that's such a superpower, right? Because it's like I say, the more, because I'm a technician blessed with really good intuition. Like if you watch me try to go down a process.
Don't the cars speak? Like, don't you can almost walk up to a car and kind of just, you get a feel.
Yeah.
I believe in that 100%. Yeah.
My name is Matthew Schwab, own Clutch Automotive. We have 6 locations here in the Houston area. Having a web-based solution is a game changer. I can effectively work remote. I can go to the soccer practice and then pick up right where I left off. I don't have to be in the shop. I can be home with the kids for dinner and just get work done afterwards if I need to. And so it's tremendously helped me as a father, as a husband. Being able to see my shop on my phone just keeps your shop moving and rolling. So if you're feeling busy now, implementing TechMetric is gonna increase your bandwidth and increase your time tremendously.
And smell, like I keep talking about that wagon that had that burning smell that was like, 104 codes in it and this intermittent thing. And I'm like, what's that smell? Let's just go unplug that. And it fixes the car. Like, that's not something that you'd ever want to publish as a case study and teach it to somebody as a process. But man, if I look back at my career, how many cars I've fixed that way, it's in the dozens that have been that way, just from instincts and eyes, ears, and nose.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned. I've watched people go down rabbit holes that I didn't have to go down.
Oh yeah, that's a rough one, especially when you're flat rate and you're watching the guy next to you just go down in flames.
Yeah.
And you want to go, hey, excuse me, hey, but it's not going to work because they're just as hard-headed as you. So my business partner and I talk about that all the time. Leave me alone. Let me go my path. Mm-hmm. I might be wrong, but it's going to be my path, and you're not going to pull me from it. That's what's tough. That's very tough.
And we've all had those cars that, like, all you took from them when they were done, you didn't take profit. You just took a lesson.
Yeah.
And we've had days like that in our career. Fuck, I've had weeks like that.
When you're off, it can go for a day. It can go for 3 days, because I've turned to my guys and going, I see it. You're having a rough, I see it. Don't worry about it. We'll work through it. We'll find you something simple to get back on track. Yeah. But that one just ate you alive. I get it. It happens. Let's figure it out. And a lot of guys don't have that kind of support. Dealerships let guys burn.
Yeah. Dory, what kicked the passion off for you then, like as a young person, to decide that this is what you wanted to do?
You know what? I will be completely honest. I have I have had multiple careers.
Okay.
And my dad was a mechanic, so I saw kind of what he went through. Mm-hmm. So I almost looked down on it a little bit. When I took my first dealership job, I came from something I had to do. I was in a place where I was married. I just had my first kid. I knew that no matter what I did, I had to make more money.
Okay.
I knew I was a fantastic troubleshooter. I came from dirt bikes, motorcycle industry. I've done audio video work. I've done content creation on the internet back before content creation was before a buzzword. Mm-hmm. But I remember having a very vivid conversation with one of my childhood friends that he's like, yeah, you kind of look down on becoming a mechanic. I was like, yeah, I felt like I gave up. I felt like I was doing what my dad did. And that was a big mistake. I was really pompous in that activity because I thought I was naive enough to think that I could just come in and it's just rotating tires and changing oil. And there was no like concept of what I was doing. I was 25 years old, and quite honestly, I was a dick. I was like, well, I can work here for $13 an hour, and they'll pay me to get my state inspection license and my emissions, and this is what I'll do. I'll settle down, and I'll make money for the family, and fine, I give up. Little did I know, man, it was the greatest decision I ever made.
So did your dad make it look simple, almost like how good he was? I
just saw the wear and tear on him. I saw a beaten and battered guy that came home with bloody hands and dirty fingernails and had to have a few drinks before you could talk to him. That kind of situation. It was frustrating, and I could see that as a kid. And I immediately married that to, that's just how every mechanic is, and that's not true. We come in a million different shapes and colors and flavors. And I mean, the guys that I have met working at dealerships and independent shops, I wouldn't trade that for anybody, for anything. They're great groups. I've seen amazing talent. I've seen, just guys doing the right things for the right reasons, and it's been eye opening. Last 20 years have been incredibly eye opening.
What I have seen, especially I've started to really appreciate in the last 7 years, is I can look now at people that are adults in my industry that I meet, and I correlate them to people that I met as children who were just a little bit different. You know what I mean? Like they were either a little bit shy, or they you didn't see them in the same kind of classes that I went to, but you always knew where they were, per se. And what it is just different places on the spectrum. Like they had these abilities that and I didn't get to know them. I kind of hung around with like some of the jocks, and I hung around with some of the gearheads in school. And I'm seeing that like the traditional gearheads that I hung around with, like one of them other than myself is still a mechanic. And the rest just went to completely different areas, right?
Yeah.
Some skilled trades, but a different skilled trade.
Mm-hmm.
And then these
problem solving.
And then these kids that like I didn't really hang out with, I'm seeing all in these adults now that are just like them. And they were just a little bit wired different, where they could like really did some you just knew that the wheels were always turning in their head. They were quiet, and it's incredible. Like they're just, it's like you said, there's so many different flavors that make this up. I've met some people that were like, the job was a retreat. The job became, I know myself, I looked forward to going to the job to get away from the situation at home, right? The relationship I was in, I was not happy. And I worked 6 days a week, like 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. if they'd let me, because I didn't want to be there. And then other people that were like, they've been so much good at like, this is just my job. This doesn't define me. This is how I earn my living. This is how I feed my family. I have no love for this, but I come in and I fill a role and I go home at night. And I'm not either one of them anymore, right? Like I'm somewhere in the middle, and
somewhere in between. Yeah.
Weird place. So,
well, I mean, there's a value in knowing 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever your schedule is. I would joke when I was working at, say, Lexus, that, the service manager tried to talk to me first thing in the morning before I'd come in. And he was kind of checking on, well, is this going to be done? Is that going to be done? And I had to stop him. I'm like, listen, I don't remember what's on my list. Yeah. Like, it's going to be as much a surprise to you as it is to me, because I leave it here.
Yeah.
I go in the locker room, I change into my uniform, I walk out and go, oh, yeah, that's right. That GX needed an alternator, and I was figuring out why the power steering pump makes noise. Okay, cool. And I would jump in, and you'd get honest work out of me, but I quit taking it home very, very early on in my career, because I knew I couldn't do it. I'm one of those guys that if I come across a real problem or a real something I can't figure a solution out to, it will run right back here 24/7 in a loop and just keep grinding and grinding and grinding. And then finally, oh, hey, but it will drive me absolutely insane. As a troubleshooter, as a problem solver, I knew that early on, even as a kid, that like it's all hands. I'm not I think they call them tactile learners now, right? We had to do it. I got to do it to understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Yeah. So the dealer you spent all the times with, what did you love about that? Like, what was the appeal? Like, did your dad work in one or did your dad shop like yours and you wanted to go down?
Yeah, he was an independent guy, back in, the 70s. And, you'll talk to a lot of guys, the good old days. We joke that he worked for a guy called Fast Eddie, and he had a big heavy equipment 2-bay garage that's gone now, just like you said, bulldozed. And, we joked because my mom is a seamstress, and she made nice Naga hide covers for the toolboxes that used to sit on the side of the toolbox, the wreckers. Yeah. Right. So it was like a family thing. And he was an independent deal. When I got into a dealership, my first dealership was Lexus. And I liked, I guess, the machine of it all, like how all the pieces interacted. Right. Every place I've ever worked, I've gone in with my eyes open. It wasn't just learning my job or knowing what I can do, I would always ask questions. What's a service writer for?
Yeah.
What's the service manager watching? What is he doing? You
Right.
know, how does the general manager work? Why does he get to work bank hours and we're back here slaving? Stuff like that. So I've always gone in with my eyes open, learning lessons for everything. I've never had blinders on, and the dealership just presented an environment where you could connect the dots
Okay.
and understand, like, oh, there's a method to this madness. You'll see, oh, the parts department's like this, and the service writer works like that, and this is, oh, okay. And then once you defined kind of what the roles were, then you could quickly pick out and go, ooh, that's not working.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's not working because this. And you don't say anything because I'm not one of those guys, but I would note it and go, oh, okay, that makes sense. This would be easier this way, or that would be that way, easier that way, or. So yeah, that's what interested me. It was a large mechanism that had a just everywhere you looked, there was craziness going on. It was.
I remember the transition for me from when I went from the little 4-bay gas station where it was just myself, 2 other mechanics, and the guy out front who did all the estimating, all the booking, all the scheduling, all the parts ordering, everything like that, right? Till I go to the dealership where it's like all of a sudden, like you said, there's a whole sales department that is, wanting to be your friend because they need favors done. And then there's a whole service department which you're a part of. But within that facet, you've got like 4 advisors who some days they seem to get along with each other and some days they want to kill one another. And then, you have your parts store, like you said, that was like, they seem to be the bane of everybody's existence, right? Like like parts, because parts was always seeming to be getting stuff wrong. Now I understand that it's a very hard job within the dealership. Like, it is constant chaos in parts, and we all know, like, you click on it and it shows stock at the warehouse and you order, and then you get a notification 5 minutes later saying, yeah, it's been updated and it's not at the warehouse, and promise
it's an intergalactic back order. Good luck. Right.
promise your customer tomorrow morning is now 3 weeks. What do you do? Right. And it becomes
Absolutely.
a chain. So I can understand for you that sentiment that when I got to the dealer, it was like this big machine all of a sudden. And it was like, wow, where do I fit in here? And then I realized real quick, like, I fit in fine. Like, the dealer, I'll say it again, the dealer saved me for this industry. I wouldn't have stayed. I wouldn't have lasted if I'd have been at that little 4-bay gas station. I wouldn't have survived this industry because I could not. It didn't pay enough. And
it's not only it's not just the pay. There is just something to an independent at that time or that size. It's chaos.
Yeah.
It's it depends on it's 100% on what the owner is.
Mm.
How organized are they?
Yeah.
The roles aren't defined. That is my largest goal in dealing with our independent, is I want to make sure everyone knows their goals.
Yeah.
What are you responsible for specifically? Because that's the one thing I hated at the dealership more than anything. Well, why didn't you do that? Well, because it's not my job. I can't force the service writer to sell. It's not my job. I got to stop. I got to fix the cars. That's what I do, and that's tough. Independents turn off a lot of young kids.
They do.
I have young kids that stop in the shop. Hey, I want to be a mechanic. We have a program here called VOTech, Vocational Technologies, that a lot of 16, 17, 18-year-olds get into, and it's kind of to get their feet wet. So I get a lot of kids that stop in. Hey, I want to be a mechanic. Listen, go to the dealership. They'll train you. You don't have to pay for schooling. They'll say, you want to be a Subaru technician? They'll send you the Subaru so you can get certified. And then you learn real quick, is that dealership promoting within? Are they going to send you to school?
Yeah.
Because I've worked at dealerships that had 1 master certified technician out of 14 guys. And I've worked at dealerships that had 17 master certified techs out of 17 guys.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference.
Big time. And, it's funny. The young people that I've seen that, like, they go to the independent store sometimes, and have to be very careful how I say this. Because sometimes it's like and we talk again in these groups that we're in, we're talking to less than 5%, right? We always have to remember that. So when I put my head up and go, I've seen them come from the aftermarket side of things with some really bad habits. Everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. But I mean, we call it like, some of them are very good at cobbling things together because that's maybe how that was the culture of the shop.
Yeah.
Had no money, like fix it as cheap bubble gum, duct tape, and weld wire if need be. Mechanics wire. The first guy I ever worked for, that Fort Bay gas station, the head guy, like welded mechanics wire and 2-part epoxy was his like go-to to and it didn't matter. It could be a side view mirror. It could be a belt. Like he was 2-part.
It could be a temp sensor. He just JB welded it in there. Good to go. Let's go.
And like you'd sit there and go, "Oh my God, Adrian!" Like, but that was what literally his customers were hoping for, that level of repair, which is why he couldn't afford to pay, because he wasn't charging. Because again, the customer base that we have to remember. Up the road within 3 miles of us was 6 dealerships. There was another independent store shop literally right across the side street, like across an alley. There was one across the street and one block down on the same side of the street. So we were surrounded by 12 other shops in a not particularly big part of Ottawa. So like there was a lot of customers and a lot of options. So there was a customer for everybody, as they say. We were the shop for those customers that like didn't have a lot of money or didn't want to put a lot of money into it.
They got blown out of the dealership at $120 an hour or whatever it was at that time, right?
Oh, well, yeah, because I can remember the dealer was like, at that time, we're talking early 2000s, like $100, and we were 64.
Yeah. I don't miss those days. Yes.
When you do the math on that, and it's like, okay, a 10-hour job, you're saving $300 if you go to somebody that's, $30 less. In 2000, $300 was a lot of money.
Sure.
Now it's groceries up here in Canada.
Right. Gas, you name it. Yeah, exactly. I had an uncle that was like that. He had an independent shop for years. And that's a little bit where I wouldn't say I grew up there, but I'd spend a lot of time with him. He was close to my dad at the time. So I kind of kicked around this independent shop, and that's where he was. He was right across the street from a government housing kind of facility where you had low income families. And honestly, my Uncle Glenn, he had a soft heart. He was the kind of guy that would give his shirt off his back to do it. But the double-edged sword on that is that you set the customer level that you want. And I don't think a lot of guys understand that because they're afraid to ask for better money and to stop using baling wire and JB Weld and to literally go, well, at ours in the early days, what we did is we gave people the choice. You could go aftermarket and it's going to be this much and it's going to fix it, but it's not going to be 1,000% dealership quality.
Yeah.
Or here's the price for OEM parts done the right way with the right time. You choose.
Yeah.
And I let the customer set that tone. And what that allowed us to do was to first identify the customers right off the bat. Hey, I want it done right. Use OEM parts. Awesome. Mm-hmm. So we would then curtail to them. We wouldn't burn these other people out, but at least I know what the lay of the land was. Am I getting junk walking through the door, or am I getting legitimate customers that want a good repair with OEM parts, but they can't find another shop that'll do it?
That's right. Yeah. And I've talked for forever. It seems like it drives me crazy when you see shop owners and they don't even look at a OE part as an alternative.
Cheaper.
They immediately go to the cheapest thing, or it's not necessarily the cheapest thing, but it's like the one that I can get my matrix to where it's the same price as a dealer part. I can give a 3-year warranty on it. Like that just drive me up the wall, because as you have been a dealer tech for a long time, I was a dealer tech for a long time. I knew that if I had a comeback, it was 99% of the time it was mechanic error. It was never the part, because you were putting on the best parts. If frustrates the hell out of me now how much diag I have to go in and redo because the parts are so bad.
We have selectively eliminated specific aftermarket manufacturers. Torman, I'm not naming any names. Okay, we're not talking trash.
Nope.
I will not use them. It's just that simple. It's frustrating for everybody because you look like an ass.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you look like somebody who can't do the job when I go, oh, that new part I put on, yeah, it broke. Sorry. Come on. I can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it sucks. I go back to the vent valve situation, right? The evap parts from the aftermarket. Like, I just will not use them. You could tell me the OE one's going to be 3 weeks away, and I'll be like, does the car run? Yep. Check engine lights on. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to wait 3 weeks for the dealer one to come in because it doesn't seem to matter if it's been a standard or a blue streak or Wells is hard to get up here, but I'm trying to think like if I can't find, say it's a Denso oxygen sensor, if I can't cross the OE number into the aftermarket catalog, I don't even bother to even look in the aftermarket catalog. I just phone the dealer up and go, give me the oxygen sensor.
And that's a hard lesson to learn. When you're starting out, either, as an independent, it's a hard lesson to learn because you want to be Johnny on the spot. You want to be the guy, oh yeah, I can get that today. We'll buzz it out. We'll knock it out. You're fine. We'll get you going. It's hard to go, whoa, let's just wait for the right part.
Yeah.
We were burned so many times in the early days because of that specific, and it's hard, and it's all you. It's just because you have the right drive. I want to get the customer down the road. I don't want to hold their car for a week. Nobody can go without their car, but in an evap sensor, run it. You're not dying. It'll be fine. The light's going to be on, but if you have something that's more important, you got an oil pressure sensor that leaks, I can't put that car back out on the road because I don't guarantee that the customer's going to check his oil.
That's right.
And it's those little pitfalls that you learn and go, nope, okay, I'm sorry. I have to be the bearer of bad news. My apologies, but this is the best course of action and I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry. And you build good customers that way. They understand. They either understand or they leave. That's what's tough.
So how did you go from Lexus to Mercedes?
Well, going through the big D, man, going to the divorce. The Lexus dealership was 20 minutes away, and the Mercedes dealership was about 35 or 40, and vice versa. One was further away, and I wanted to make the change of I needed to be home more often, and better hours and better pay, and I would have been. I liked those two dealerships a lot, so there wasn't a big difference between those two. I was set up to be a lifer at Mercedes. I kind of found, man, listen, the Germans know how to do it. That's all I can say. You talk about a machine, and you talk about, I don't know. There was some psychological warfare there too. Like they had you. You were a team member, man. You were part of us, and I bought in. I was 100%. Like I got it. There was support. They were clear about their roles. They were totally clear as to, what they expected of you, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What pushed me out of there was the warranty times. The warranty times were horrendous.
Yeah. And
it was right at that point where you're making me fight tooth and nail at a luxury dealership. Like you guys are almost, oh man, at the time, I want to say they were 165 or 170 an hour or something like that, and I'm going, you're making me fight for time. Where's this coming from? And that's kind of what happened there. But I loved, that was a place that showed me what you could build when you get, I had an old boss when I worked for motorcycle stuff. He always talked about running a company is like having 18 boat engines on the back of your boat. Mm-hmm. If you get 6 of them going the same direction, you're looking pretty good, right? Well, that's what Mercedes was. Mercedes was, man, they had 17 techs, 16 and a half of them were going the right direction. They didn't tolerate a whole bunch of shit, And but there was also that, hey, we're working together. It's a team. Even though it was flat rate, old timers would cut the guys retired there. They were lifers. They would come over and show you easier, faster, better ways to do what you're doing.
Okay, cool.
That sort of environment that doesn't exist in a flat rate environment. I've seen fistfights in flat rate shops.
Yeah.
So that sort of environment, I dug. I got it. I was in 100%.
The luxury thing always, like, and to me to this day, like when they talk about, like, and you see them they post the job ads and it's like, ooh, they're paying $45 an hour, flat rate. You're like, how are they selling cars that go for $150,000 to $200,000 at this dealership? And listen, the people are going to correct me again. Exchange in Canada, right? So most of them are sitting there very close to 100K. And secondly, like, I don't know. I don't research them. They're not my kind of car. So if you tell me that I don't sell any of them that go for 200, I'm going to believe you. But I know that they sell a ton for 100. Anyway, it always makes me laugh when you see these high luxury end brands and they still pay flat rate. Because I'm like, you would think that we're all about quality and we're all about snobby, prestigious cars, that they would just be like, you'd think you would walk in and it would be like this high-end salon type thing, pristine, clean. Guys are just paid to, like, have the service manual open and torquing every faster. That's not what you get with flat rate, right?
Right.
Doesn't matter whether you're working on a Yugo, obviously, or you're getting guys that are slamming and banging as fast as possible to make that money. And I could never wrap my head around the idea that, like, BMW and Mercedes locally here are still paying our flat rate. And they still have comebacks and they still have, shoddy work, because I've seen it. And you're like, where does the money go? If they're collecting that much for door rate and they're still paying techs not that much more to work on those cars, and they're still flat rate, well, where's the money go?
Right.
Goes in the first pocket. And
Sure.
the overhead of running that type of presentation versus, your mom and dad's Chevy dealership, right?
Right. Well, that was a big part of why I left Lexus. So the run of that was when I worked at Lexus. That was my first dealership experience, and I got in because one of my childhood friends worked there.
Right.
And actually multiple childhood friends. So there was like 4 or 5 of us out of 8 techs that all grew up together. So we were tight.
Yeah.
And it was an hourly shop. And the Lexus dealership that I worked for probably spent 10 to 15 years #1 regionally in their service store. We crushed it. Because we were as tight as we were 180% efficient. 5 guys at least 160 to 180% efficient every month. Did we screw off? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. There were stuff like I saw you brought up the television show Tires, right? I mean, come on. They nail it, right? Steve and Shane nail what that experience is 100%, right? And did we mess around? Yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, we were crushing it. Well, the service manager comes to us one day in a meeting and goes, hey, there's a payroll freeze right now. We're having a hard time with a couple things. I think this would have been like, let's see, my daughter was born 05. So yeah, 07, 08, something like that. And we had a pretty hard dip in car sales and stuff, but nothing. Lexus was just fine. Trust me, they were fine. Yeah. But hey, there's a freeze. And we put up with that for 1 year. And the next year came around, and my current business partner, who I own the shop with, went to our service manager, said, hey, I understand there's a freeze, but I need a raise. I don't know what to tell you, but that's what I need. Yeah. And he goes, no, there's no way to have it. This is just not going to happen. He goes, all right, well, thanks. And the next day he came in and he put his 2 weeks in. Well, you got to give me time. I can't. He goes like, no, it's already done.
Yeah.
Within 3 months, 4 of us quit.
Wow.
We gutted the place. They went from #1 regionally to last. Did the owner care? He didn't care. They
Nope.
were fine. His company jet was fine, right? His multiple properties were fine.
Yeah, he keeps.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
They spent the next 6 years digging themselves out of the last place for regional because they just wouldn't give us $1 more working at a Lexus dealership. And it was a hard lesson to learn, but it definitely taught me self-worth instantly because I got hired down the road for $2 more and they were ecstatic to bring us in.
Yeah, and
So,
you know, that fills such a stereotype that I've seen and heard, for the better part of 20 years and lived through some of it in my career. And when people talk about number one in the region and CSI scores and all this kind of stuff.
CSI, oh my God, CSI, my man.
If CSI really made a lick of difference, you would see them, really, 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 really make it about their culture. Would be the CSI. And yet we know that it's a dangling carrot. I've said to it, it's like, if you get a score at the end of the year, we'll write you a check. Oh, shit, you had to be at 99, you hit 94. F you guys, you get nothing. Good luck next year.
And how cool is that,
Every dealer eventually is going to watch that and happen and get close and then go, you know what? F this. We're going to focus on making money. Mm-hmm. And it's not about then fixing all these warranty weird complaints and making the customer shaking.
Well, you build this, there's too many Karens.
Yeah.
I've seen dealerships bend over backwards to save a Karen. When we do at our independent shop?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I've had this conversation word for word. It just looks like we're not a good fit for you. I just don't think that this is going to work out. By all means, I got 4 or 5 other places that were more than happy to take you as a customer. I just don't think this is going to work. I appreciate your business. It's been great. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I saw way back in the day when I was at Chrysler, the first Chrysler store I worked at, arguably still one of the best technicians I ever saw in terms of being able to take any problem that the customer had, find the solution and fix it. And I'll give you this example. This little lady, so he comes to work at this dealership and he had left a straight time dealer where you just fix cars. That was it. You approach CSI like it was everything. This little old lady comes in with this neon and she says, I have a squeak in the seat. And then it was like a boomerang. Nobody could seem to find it because, of course, you get in and you move the seat around and then the seat doesn't squeak. And she was a little thing. Colin was his name. Colin spent all morning on this, and he realized that the squeak that she was hearing was the seat cover on the seat foam. Little old lady, she wouldn't have weighed 100 pounds, right? She just squeaked, and hardly any miles in the car. Colin takes the seat apart, puts a plastic bag over the foam to stop the squeak, reassembles the seat. Now, you get 2 trains of thought on here. People are going to put their head up and go, I would hire Colin in a second because Colin fixed the car. And then you're going to have the other train of thought that have been in my experience from the dealership, and they're like, you can't get paid for that repair.
Correct.
The warranty won't pay for that.
Correct.
So what Colin did was cost them a lot of money that day. Now, why did he do that? He was a straight time foreman. So his job was to try and solve these problems. What I took away from that was be somewhere in the middle. Don't be Colin, but don't be like all the other guys that had boomerang that car, if you know what I mean. So CSI for me was she probably filled out a great CSI survey for us. What did it amount to? Squat. How much did it cost us that day? A couple $100 by the time we paid Colin and made a claim that you can't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that really worth? And here's the unfortunate thing. That little old lady, Mrs. Smith, right? Her loyalty is worth something, but is it scalable? Is it tangible? I don't think it really is. And this is the CSI game for me is a dangling carrot. I don't tell anybody out there. If I go in and I sit down in a job interview for a dealer and they tell me start talking about CSI as their number one priority, I know I ain't making any money here because it's the priority becomes we got to chase this imaginary check that they might write us at the end of the year versus we need to look over every car super well and present all the work that we can find on it and sell on it. That's how So I worked at a dealer that was like, when I left that first dealer, I went to the second one, they didn't give a spit about CSI. They were all about like sell, 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 sell. We fixed the cars too. Like you had to diagnose and fix cars, but like if you went out and said it needs a brake job, you had somebody selling brakes. Yeah. You didn't have anybody worried like, oh crap, it's only got 50,000 K on it. Like, I wonder why it needs brakes. They're like, brakes? Yep. Let me just, call for complete faith in what the technicians were selling, which is sometimes a little sketchy.
Sure.
But
And also through the service writer. That's what's tough too. How many service writers have you met where they do a hard sell rather than a soft sell? Meaning that, hey, if you don't do these brakes, you're going to die.
Yeah.
No, they're at 430 seconds. They're not going to die. Okay. I'm just saying in the next 5 to 10,000 miles, you're probably going to need brakes.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes a huge difference. I tell my service writers that's the soft sell. Soft sell everything. That way, they'll learn, the customer learns that the one time, I heard you telling the stories about the Caravan with the rotors into the, the metal to metal, the one time you go, listen, if you leave here, you're going to die. And they believe you. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. And that's what we push really hard. Service writers make or break a place because they're your contact to the customer.
100%. It's when I think of like, places that I've made a lot of money and places that I've made zip, it all comes back to who was at that front counter. Like that's what it all boils down to. And again, like I've talked, there was always a mix there. Like we had some guys that were, really aggressive. And we had some guys that were like a little more restrained, I guess you would say. They both were necessary. They both served a role. But it was like, depending on where you were hoping that a certain ticket was, to this guy versus another guy, right? Like it was
what fit them best. Right. Exactly.
I want him on my Saturday. I don't want him because so going back to the CSI thing, we have to remember once you're out of warranty, it's not important at all. It's not important. And it sucks. And, the people that are not in the industry that listens to this episode, I know we act like at the dealer, like it's really important that you fill out that survey and whatnot, but they really don't. Like, it's not the be all or end all. What they're really doing is that like the car leaves, you're satisfied, and you keep bringing the car back. If you don't fill out the survey, it's not the end of the world,
Right. Well, it's the old adage, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just shush. You'll be fine. Is your car good? Your car's good? Okay. I'm sorry that the greeter didn't greet you with a smile on their face and the pedicurist didn't paint your nails the right color. I'm sorry, but is your car fixed? Yes. Okay, great. That's tough. You start getting into that, start splitting hairs. And when you make CSI, it didn't really affect, Lexus had that, Mercedes had that. When you make it a larger part of someone's paycheck, that's where it can get ugly real quick.
Yeah.
Just because you had a Karen that is complaining about wind noise. Meanwhile, they have like marbles in their cargo area. You're like, dude, I can't pick out what sound you're particular about. Can you put the tin cans away that are in your cargo area, please? I know we're dealing with a squeak, but I'm deaf, and you can't say that. They don't let you say that,
Techs have gone for test drives for noises, and there's been a case of beer bottles in the back. Always,
100%.
It's happened to you, or cans or bottles, right? Like up here in Canada, we were all about the bottle for a long, long time. You never ever drank beer out of a can. It was just not something. And now it's common. But like all the time, it would be either like empty wine bottles in the back, or I'm not judging. Like, ladies, if you want to cart them around for whatever reason, like, I'm not judging. Right. It's really to hear, like Dory's saying, I got a wind noise at 70 miles an hour on the highway. And I'm driving out to the highway and all I'm hearing is clink, 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 clink. How do you hear that?
Right. Right. And it's literally happened. Like most people that aren't in this industry would go, oh, they're being facetious. They're just great. No, legitimately. I'm not, you can't make this stuff up.
That's right. Yeah. Like
God.
between how do you listen to the radio and hear the clinking and still hear the wind noise? Like I don't, you know, it strikes me.
Right. Well, on the other side of the coin too, I've had customers that, God love them, they come in and go, listen, I'm really sorry, it's not making it today. And I go, listen, I understand. Our coffee isn't that good. You don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Let's go for a ride and see what we can find.
Yeah.
It's not you. I understand. And once you put those people to comfort and rest, they understand. At least someone's listening to them. Because I've never turned to a customer and go, make it do it. Make it do it right now. I know cars suck.
Yeah.
Right. My business partner says all the time, I hate cars. Right.
Yeah.
I collect. I still like cars. I still have that little bit of, love for them. I've seen customers talk to Paul and Paul go, I hate cars, right? Like, I don't want to hear about your collection. I do this for a living. I'll fix it. I'll good. But
Yeah.
I don't care. I hate cars. But we were probably the top two techs there because we would take the time with the customer. We know you're not crazy. We know you're not making this stuff up, and it doesn't happen all the time. And that's what's frustrating.
And to kind of stick to this kind of thing, I don't know if you watched Royalty Auto Service on YouTube, Sherwood. They just stuck a video out yesterday that was a Toyota Tacoma squeak noise. And it ended up being what he found it. And again, like this is the level that they go to. If it necessitates this, is like it ends up being it's a shock. The strut in the front of the Tacoma, the seal is all dirty where this piston rod's coming up down through. So it needs struts in the front of this Tacoma. But like he's literally there with arc oil and a stethoscope and getting two guys, the big guy Chris, right? Chris is a whole vibe himself, pushing on the front of this truck to make the noise. And there's Sherwood with the stethoscope. There's the noise. Okay, it needs struts. They easily had a good hour into finding that.
Mm-hmm.
Sold the customer the diag time. The customer, and then Sherwood's like, yeah, well, with the mileage on the thing and the age of it, yeah, they should have struts anyway, just based on them. Like, why in this industry, when we don't get the results we want, it's most of the time I keep saying it's because we didn't want to pay for the results we wanted to get. And that means paying the time to diagnose the car. And I love that guy because like, and again, some of it may be for TV, but there's a true leader, right? He's in the shop. Guys are around him watching how he approaches this problem. I think that's where, and I don't know, I want to think that probably why the sounds of like you were talking about your experience where everybody's so tight, that learning curve becomes like so good. Because everybody's involved, everybody's watching, everybody's it's Dory's turn to teach a lesson on how I found this noise,
right?
And like you're saying, your Paul's got one, and so on and so forth. That's when there's really no ceiling to what a business can do. I want to think that it's like my friend Benji at Frog Pond, that's very much how they approach it. Like everybody, when they work as a team and when everybody is helping one another, everybody's seeing his method and that person's method. And this, like, that's how we all get better,
Right.
That's the part of this industry that I love. That's the part that I get really off on is seeing how somebody does something and then learning from it. I'm all about learning, right? Like that's just the key thing for me. Like I'm not going to break production records anymore. I'm old and slow and hurt, but man, if I still learn tricks like that, I would do this till like I don't wake up that one morning, right? Cause it's like a drug for me,
Sure. And I don't know if that happens at independents because I've never really worked at one. I've always been at dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
But, that was the kind of stuff that you would see happen, at Lexus or at Mercedes. Guys would, before it comes in the door, one of the old guys would be on you. Oh, yeah, check this, and this. That's what I found last week. And that cuts out so much rigmarole and guessing and testing and diagnosing, but, I also know you're a big proponent of paying for diag time, because that's so important. Diag time is not only just for the technician doing it. It's for anyone else in the shop that wants to pay attention to how you're going about solving a problem.
Yeah.
And my line to any customer that questions diagnosis time, I would go either two responses. I would go with either, you're paying for my expertise. I can guess that you don't know how to do struts on your car. I do. I can do them in an hour and a half rather than you can look up the YouTube video. That's the other thing. Power of YouTube. Anytime I have a customer that wants to know why and how, I'm like, look, here you go. I'll send you the link. This is what I'm going to be doing. Go nuts.
Yeah.
Check it out. And 99 times, oh, I see. I understand. Thank you so much. Go ahead and do that. That's a big part of it. And then the other side is the second line of defense I go, well, we're a good shop for a reason. You have to pay me for what I know because no one else is going to fix it.
That's right.
I'm sorry that you have to pay me to do it, but at least I also have zero problem if you pay for diagnosis and you want to take it down the street, by all means.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem because if you're not going to be happy anyway. I could do that job to the best of my ability for the lowest amount of cost. It doesn't matter. You already have it in your mind that you don't appreciate value and experience.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Pay your bill. Have a wonderful day. I don't try to keep people like that. And bringing your own parts.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you run into people, well, can I bring it? No, I can't. I can't warranty it because chances are it's wrong anyway. You didn't order the right part, or it's the lowest quality part on the planet, and I'll see you in 3 weeks, and then you're going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
And my job, my business model isn't bring your own parts. I'm sorry. It's just what it is.
Because they still go online and say that, Dory's shop didn't fix my car. They always out that Google review, that testament in the local Facebook group. They leave out the part where they say, I showed up with the part I bought on Temu.
Correct.
Or whatever, right? Or like they always leave that part out. It's just, because they, in their mind, and I get it. Their mind, they're all the same. The part is exactly the same. It's like buying, what's an example? It's like buying a loaf of bread at Kroger's or buying a loaf of bread at Walmart. It's still bread.
Still bread, right?
Like one
bread didn't need to hold oil or, give you a good ride or stay together. It just needed to be toasted. That's it.
So the ignition coil for $10 or the ignition coil for $100 is the same. They're just really ripping me off on the $100 one. Never mind that there's completely different things inside. Right? The $10 coil's got sawdust in it, probably.
Right.
The $100 coil is built like the one that was under the hood when it was born.
Right. And it was quality checked.
Yeah.
And it went through, all of those things. Yeah.
So, when people, that's why and again, I worked for a shop owner that, like, when we sat down, we did the initial interview, he knew about me from the groups and I knew about, I'd seen his name and I'm thinking, like, they don't do these kind of shenanigans. And then I would see a customer bring his own parts and then I'm like, wow, okay, we're doing that now? No, but this guy, he's a little more difficult. And I'm like, if he's a little more difficult, then we probably shouldn't be doing this because we're forming bad behavior.
Yeah, exactly. You're teaching him to be difficult. I have broke many customers of that because I just calmly explained it. I didn't take it personally. Yeah. I didn't get all mad and frustrated. I simply showed him the details, showed him the reasons, showed him the hows and the whys of why I can't do that because it doesn't work for us. Do you like us being a business? Yes. Okay. If I do that, I'm going to go out of business. Mm-hmm. So it's just tough. It's tough to hold the line. We say, hold the line at the shop. Yeah.
Do you think I'm crazy when I think that a lot of people, the bring your own parts thing, I think there's somebody in every core time that the subject comes up, I got to take my car in. I swear to God, when these people are sitting around, somebody always says, well, it wasn't that expensive because I took my parts in, my mechanic put them on. Do you think that's happening really a lot? These kind of conversations are happening?
I think it goes back to the old adage of if you keep a customer happy, they might tell one person. Right. And then if they're unhappy, they'll tell everybody. They'll tell people standing in the line at the grocery store. They'll tell people going to the doctors. They'll tell people because they don't. Mercedes taught pretty much everybody that there's three kinds of people. There's people that appreciate value. There's people that look for price, and then there's people that look for time.
Mhm.
Right? Luxury cars, nobody cares about how long it takes. These people have 3 or 4 other cars,
They have
and they have a fleet of loaners. Nobody gives a shit, right? But in the independent game, these are blue collar people. They got one car. Like,
Yeah.
I feel their pain. I'm sorry, I can't leave your car for that long. I can't leave my car that long. Well, your car's going to explode if you don't leave it. I'm sorry, but I can't. You got to leave it. There's got to be a way around this. I don't have loaners. I'm not that big yet, But it's the old adage of, they're going to cry to everybody, or they're going to tell one person, man, they did a great job.
Mhm.
And that's that's a tough industry to be in, because I think, I don't know, can you think of another industry that would follow that? Like, someone that did their nails wrong, they might complain a little, but like, they're still nice. Or
I
try
always
to do it at a doctor's office. Bring your own part to the doctor's office. I dare you. Right?
I always go to the same thing when people they talk about the deadline thing, and it's like, if you've ever had a custom home built, right? And somebody just shared this recently on there, like, you never see it get done by the promised time.
Right. I never thought of that. Yeah.
So it's like, and sometimes it's maybe a month, but like, we know that some construction projects, we're talking a year behind schedule.
Oh yeah.
Because of variables that they're going to say out of their control or whatever. So, and I'm not advocating saying that we all need to lower the bar to be like the other skilled trades. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's not the end of the world. Like, those people that are waiting for that custom home to be built, do they sometimes stay in the home longer? Yes. Do they sometimes wind up in a hotel waiting for the house? Yes. Do they sometimes wait in at the in-laws? Yes.
There are solutions. Right.
They didn't die in the winter for freezing in the snowbank because the house wasn't built on time. That's my point. And we live in a world where, and again, I forget sometimes there are rural people, rural places, but like, in my little corner of the world, we have a public transit system. So it sucks. I get it. But if your car tomorrow is at the shop, it's at Dory's shop because it's waiting on an alternator, and you can't beg, borrow, reschedule whatever you had to do the next day, like, we can take this magic thing in our pocket called our phone, and we can look at the local transit schedule, and we can figure out that I got to be at the closest bus stop by 8:00 in the morning, and I have to catch 2 buses, and that'll get me to where I got to go tomorrow.
My question is always, how many friends do you have on Facebook?
Yeah.
Make a call, send a text, make a message.
My own brother has been without his own vehicle now for 6 months.
Oh my God.
He had an old Ford Ranger, and we scrapped it because it was not working tires and brakes on, right? We talked about it. Now, his roommate that he lives with, they have, like, she has this little, I don't know, it's probably a 14 or 13 Accent Hyundai. Now, Canadian Accent is not at 14, at 12 years old. There ain't much life left in that one yet either. I mean, it's already, it's 12 years old. It's one of the good ones.
Right.
So, and at first when he got rid of his truck, I was panicked. I'm like, what is he going to do? But they're making it work.
They adapt. Right. You figure it out.
I'm like, shit, when that Hyundai goes down, they need to start planning. And I'm already like, they need to start planning now, because when that thing all of a sudden doesn't start, or the transmission, like, I've had the talk with them, don't call me and say I need a tranny for a 2012 accident, because I'm going to say, no, you need $500 from the local wrecker, and then you need to buy some bus passes. And here's the reality, right? Like, it's up to them to figure out how they're going to make it work. And the reality is, the grocery store that they would need to buy everything they would need is 2 blocks from their house. They could walk. Now, he's waiting on a hip transplant.
Oh my goodness.
You know, he might be a walker going up, but he could get food, is my point. He's not going to starve. So we're in a very fortunate time where, yes, there's rural places and people rely on those cars, But those rural places, I find that most of the time they don't ever really stop driving it until it stops them. And then
Right.
get another one. They're not the type that is like, I'm into the shop, for this squeak and rattle kind of thing. If it's working and doing work, they're using it. That's what.
Right.
So I can't always immediately go, well, rural people don't have public transit. Listen, rural people don't squawk about crazy things that we bring in for a car. The lights
They're already independent and self-sufficient, and chances are they've already put 2 alternators on it already.
Mhm.
That's something to be said for that too. We're missing a lot of that in our society. As much as there's information on YouTube, I love meeting fellow independent problem solvers that aren't even in the industry. These guys are IT guys, or they're electricians, or they're steam fitters, or they're union guys, but they know how to put an alternator on. They know how to check the voltage and go, well, is it 12 volts or is it 14.2 volts? Okay, the alternator's bad. We're missing a lot of that in our society today.
Well, we're not developing it. That's the problem, right? Is where everybody is just like, I mean, I would have never thought that I'd ever make 5 cents from content creation 20 years ago.
Right.
And here I am making some money every month from content creation. Now it's a viable employment opportunity career for these young people. And we look at that and go, listen, here's the reality, right? But we don't even really know what the reality is, because it could even get even bigger than the way it is.
It changes so fast. Yeah.
So if you'd have said 10 years ago, there's going to be kids that are going to be millionaires from playing Minecraft on YouTube, I'd have told you were nuts.
1.7 million views. Watch me play video games. And I can't even comprehend it.
And now they have energy drinks that they sell and shit like that. I don't get it. So I got to ask the question then, if your experience as a dealer was so positive, and a team effort kind of thing, why'd you ever finally leave that?
So I went to go work for another flat rate shop that offered me more money, a flat rate dealership.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those stories that always makes the hair on my arm stand up, because I really feel like I was guided. I don't mean to feel like overzealous or anything like that, but I went to go work for another shop. Again, it was a move to be closer to my kids. Mm-hmm. I was even closer. I was like 5 minutes down the road, so it was easier to take them to school, be a part of their life.
Right.
Basically in my 5 miles from where I lived. It was a commute. I got tired of driving 45 minutes every morning to work and 45 minutes at home. And honestly, the general manager at Mercedes was fantastic. He heard that I was contemplating about leaving. He called me up to his office. He's like, listen, what can we do? And I said, well, the bottom line is I can't move closer to you, and you can't move the dealership closer to me. And I'm sick of driving an hour and a half out of my day. I just can't do it. And I think I could make this other dealership work. They have frequent turnarounds. Nobody's worked there longer than 3 years, that kind of burnout. But it was in my backyard. It was for the same, it might have been for a couple bucks more, honestly. And it was just that kind of move. And the general manager was like, listen, if anything doesn't work out, just show up with your toolbox. He's like, I will save a place for you, and they were that kind of organization, and I appreciated that. So I went to go work for this other place. I worked there about 3 years, and I was having a bad day. And it was the kind of place that turns you into something you're not.
Okay.
I'm a very happy-go-lucky kind of, what do you need help with? I'll go the extra mile. And working there 3 years, it was the kind of place that just drained you. They took everything and didn't give anything back. And I was having a particularly bad day. I was throwing tools, which I never do. That's not my style. That is absolutely not my style. I was throwing tools, and I had to go, listen, I'm stepping out for a minute. I'm going to go take a walk out the back door. I'm going to go sit on the grass, watch cars go by, and settle myself down. And I was walking out the door, and something popped up on my shoulder and said, "Hey, text." It was my cousin Ronnie that owned a little abandoned two-bay Esso gas station. It literally no glass, no doors, parking lot full of garbage. It was abandoned, no electric, no nothing. And something just popped in my head because I tried to buy it off him probably about 5 years earlier, and he wasn't ready to let go. He inherited it from his dad. It was special to him, that sort of thing. And out of the blue, hey, text Ronnie. Just text him, say hi. And I texted him. I'm walking. I remember walking up to the grass hill, texting him, hey, Ronnie, how's it going? 2 minutes later, he kicks back with a picture of a for sale sign in his hand. And I go, what's that for? And he goes, you'd never guess. I was like, is that for the shop? He goes, yeah. I said, listen, just put it back in your truck. We'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I knew that it was just time. I was frustrated. I knew I worked at a place that showed you how to do it wrong. It's as simple as that. I was frustrated. I knew I could do it better. I knew that I learned enough lessons. I knew that no matter what I was doing here, I could do it better somewhere else. Right. And that was really the thing that drove me, that I could have control start to finish, from when the car comes in the door to how we treat the customers to how we deliver it. I was all in at that point, and I started making phone calls. I called up two of my childhood friends, and I said, hey, I got a crazy idea. Why don't you meet me at this address? We need to talk, and I'd love to hear your input. And we walked the property, and we decided right then and there that we were going to try to do anything we can to do it, because we were all ready at that point.
Right.
And ironically, the dealership that Paul worked for and the dealership that I worked for, the common thread in our existence is we're 180 degrees opposite. I will give you this one piece of advice. If you ever look for a business partner, look for someone 180 degrees opposite of you. Uh-huh. Because it's not, when you're similar to someone else, it's not the big things that drive you crazy.
Right.
It's the little things. It's the little tiny things that get under your skin. So when you get two people that are 180 degrees opposite, you're getting someone who can see problems in a different view and a different light to go. And if you're mature enough to go, oh, I never thought of that. Yeah. Let me contemplate that. I didn't see that problem, or I didn't see that solution. And we walked the property, and we decided at that point that we were all in. We were done. We were done at dealerships. His treated him like gold. When they found out he was going to leave, I got fired. I've never been fired in my life, ever. Not once. I was up front. Hey, I bought a shop. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. I'm just giving you the guys heads up. I'm not going in 2 weeks. It's literally abandoned.
Yeah.
Bye.
Which is very telling of, and obviously, why the culture was so bad in the first place, right?
Sure. Absolutely, 100%. And that's what told me I made a good move. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was the first week like at the brand new building?
So my my ex-girlfriend, which is my current wife, she hates it, but I call her my ex-girlfriend. Listen, you're my wife. You're my ex-girlfriend, right? She remembers vividly of me pulling up in my lifted 98 Dodge Dakota pickup truck with a trailer and a toolbox on the back, pulling up in front of the house, and I pop out with the biggest, dumbest smile going, guess what I did today, honey? And I talked to her for 5 minutes. We grabbed something to eat, and I flipped a U-turn, took it to the new shop, and I had just primered all the walls in the shop. We got it cleaned out. We pressure washed it. We just got electric. And I think the 2-post lift was scheduled, 3 weeks before they dropped it off. So I didn't have any way to lift anything. Right. But I basically had 3 weeks there to put together what invoicing program we were going to use. I started the process to own the location for Google. Mm-hmm. You got to remember, this is a gas station from 1965. It didn't exist on maps.
Yeah.
It opened. It was built in 1961. It went out of business in 1969 and was abandoned since then. So it didn't exist on maps. It didn't have a street address. It didn't have a telephone number. So I went through all of those processes to put us on MapQuest and Google and all those places. And honestly, it gave me 3 weeks to get my head together. And man, when we dropped that first lift, we put it up ourselves, and it was like a switch. It was unreal. It was an amazing experience that I would never want to trade in my life, because it was literally the day we put it up, we started taking appointments.
Right.
And it was just a step-by-step process. Our first month was like $400, I think, something like that, but the next month was $1,000, and the next month was $1,500,
And it's what's so cool about this industry is, like, of all the people that I've heard about their first week or their first day or their first month or their first year in their first, their own business, not once has somebody ever said to me, nobody ever came in the first day. You know what I mean? Like, there's always been such a need, Dory, that it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, people, I don't know whether the pre-marketing works or there's that many broken cars just driving by all the time. I think that's what it is.
I think it is too.
They see a new sign, they see a new light on, they see a new place, and they go, I'm going to give that a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether it's like they're trying to get one up on us, where it's like, oh, I'm going to go in there and they're going to be brand new and like they're going to need me as a customer, or is it just like they're that optimistic? But I mean, this is the beauty of it, because other businesses you could start, like a restaurant. There's lots of restaurants that open on the first day, and if they don't do like a ton of pre-marketing, nobody walks in.
No, you don't walk in.
But I've never talked to a shop owner. It's like, my first day, we had no customers. Yeah. Like, and I think that's just very telling about the power of what our industry still is, and how viable and necessary we are. Like, we got to always remember that. It goes back to valuing ourselves. We're almost, we've pretty much proven it. We're almost recession proof. Like, I can tell you that we're COVID proof.
We're absolutely COVID proof. My business did not change at all. Not once through any of the lockdowns or COVID or any of that BS.
Yeah. We
did the same amount of work from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Now we might have had like we might have put together some money to maybe deal with if someone walked in our door and told us that we were going to get shut down, that maybe, we were going to have to figure out to bail out the owner, because we were kind of like waiting to knock somebody out. If someone told us we were going to close, like, we're not closing. I don't know what to tell you, but we're not closing, But it's been steady. It's been steady and growth the entire time from day one. The lessons that we learned, I can tell you the exact job that I stood my ground on a price and said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it for that. Have a nice day. Hey, call us if anything changes. And the next day, hey, I'm going to schedule that job. I appreciate it. I can't find it cheap. What
was that, Dory?
What's that?
What job was that?
That was timing chains and a Nissan Murano.
Yep.
And it's a big job. You have to drop the engine out of the bottom of the car. Yep. And I said, listen, it's 14 hours. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yep.
I can either put aftermarket timing chains in it, or I can put OEM ones. Guess which one I want you to do? It's a waste of time otherwise, but we stood our ground. And to this day, we have that customer. 11 years later, that customer, you don't have the Murano, it rusted out a long time ago, but he appreciates what we do and how we do it.
Yeah. Isn't that cool, right? Because I mean, it's the same. And how many times have we dropped the ball as an industry in that, where we didn't stand our ground and we completely shift the dynamic of where it should be, and I don't want to say like we're in charge and they're not, but that's pretty much what it is, right? Because otherwise it's like we're saying, here's the steering wheel. Like, I'm going to let you drive, but I'm going to correct you a little bit so we get to where we're both happy going. Whereas like with you or us, when the customer says, and it's like, no, listen, I've got it in park. My foot's on the brake. This is as far as I go. If we go together, I still drive. You're along for the ride, right? Like, I'm providing you something. I know the analogy is a little off, but listen to what I'm trying to say here is that they don't dictate the process. That's what I keep saying.
Exactly.
They don't dictate it. I do. It's my business. I get to set the rules. When you stand up to the customer and say, I honestly want to believe that most customers will respect you for that. Now, you have to be then professional, and you have to get the result that you fucking promise them. Like, we can't have the conversation the other day with Brian, and it's the episode will drop there. The amount of diag that's being done on cars that we're all about charging for diag, and it's not right. Like, the diag is wrong. Like Brian talks about, she comes in, I need a cam sensor. Okay. That's pretty straightforward. It's a Nissan, needs a cam sensor. Yeah, I already have one done. Oh, okay, shoot. Now you go through what kind of part was put in and all this.
Right.
Dory, they put it in the wrong fucking bank.
What a surprise.
It's a 4-liter and a Frontier, and they put it in the wrong bank. Like, she got charged for a repair, charged diag for the repair, and still had to go to Brian's shop because when it didn't take, they told her it has to be programmed. We don't program here.
Oh my God.
So
that's the scapegoat. Oh, it needs programmed. Right? I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to look over what I did, or maybe I messed up. Oh, it needs programmed.
It should have worked.
Oh my.
You can remember it as I can. It always made me laugh. Oh, you got to go to the dealer for that then. Got to go to the dealer for that. Got to go to the dealer for that. You must have to go to the dealer because my scanner won't do it, or
right.
And it's, yes, there's some truth to that, but like, man, I fix a lot of cars with a code reader and a very basic set of data. Like, I still do, and it's why, because like, I'm not going to fix the one DTC in a Nissan with a code reader because it needs.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. I got one too. But you know what I mean? But it's like I can't flash it with that. I can't put software in.
Right.
I can do a diag with those PIDs
that tell where I need to pull the data stream.
Yeah.
I can see that wave is a mess. Mm-hmm. I can see that, when it hits this temperature, it quits reading. Yeah. Those are all valuable tools. Most people can't, I don't want to say most people, some techs, there's a difference between, I always like to say, some guys can tell you if an alternator is functioning. Some guys can go in and tell you how an alternator functions.
Yeah. Right.
There's a difference between knowing if diodes are bad or the windings are bad or if the brushes are bad. Yeah. Is that necessary in that scenario? Not always. I just need to know whether it's functioning or not.
Yeah.
But it's not important enough, but it's damn good information to know. Yeah. Because sometimes you'll run into like a Nissan Murano that the gauge cluster light isn't telling the alternator to charge. Mm-hmm. I've seen guys put 2 and 3 alternators in cars, and I'm going, did you check the gauge cluster? Because that's all part of that circuit. If you pull the schematic up and go through your lines, that gauge cluster is actually what controls the alternator. Is it doing its job? No. Well, bypass this and this wire. Oh, look, it's charging. Surprise. It's not being told to turn on. Yep. And you just wouldn't think of that. You just, as a, if we're grading like an A grade, a B grade, a C grade, maybe even a B grade tech wouldn't know to go that deep into that scenario.
Yeah.
So it's important to have those basics, to have those building blocks to understand, okay, what all is involved in this system, because it's not 1970 anymore. There are way too modules. When I started working at Lexus, there were 6 modules in their Highline luxury vehicle. By the time I left, there was 32.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. I scanned a 2022 Volvo X40 or whatever. What is just for, I'm doing a brake job and I got to back up the caliper.
Oh, yeah. Good times.
I'm counting at 40 some modules that the Autel showed me. 41.
And you're an Autel guy too, dude. I love my Autel.
I have an
Tell
Autel.
me that's not the best piece of equipment you've ever used.
So I own my own Snap-on Zeus, not the Zeus Minus as everybody calls
Correct.
it, but my own Zeus. And then the shop has a little Autel, and like I love Snap-on tools. I've had Snap-on scanners forever, but man, like I tried to do the same process with the Zeus, and it's like, no, you have to buy a secondary cable and all this kind of stuff. The Autel, and the Autel says, "Yep, you want to back up the calipers? Here you go." Now I don't like that they're putting more of the braking stuff behind the secure gateways. I think that's a joke. Like that should be that's BS is what it is. That's all it is locking them. Nobody wants to steal the brake information from the fucking car. Like to say that you have to be on to, like
right.
Be logged in and accredited in order to back up the caliper off. Like can I get around it? Yes. Do I want to every time? No, I don't want to jump power and ground to every rear caliper.
Are you guys fighting for the right to repair in Canada? Do you have any kind of laws that are coming into play for that?
It's not even as bad here as it is for you guys in the States with NASTIF and all that kind of stuff.
We're getting shut down on a lot of things. Yeah. I'm paying for that access, that extra layer of access. Like I can't even clear, like if I go into a newer 2021 Jeep Wrangler, right? Yeah. I can't even go in and clear codes now without that pre-authorization and access. Nissan's doing it, Chrysler's doing it, which means Mercedes-Benz is also going to follow suit. There's a fight here for the right to repair. There's a lot of legislature that's coming up. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but I see it. It's a problem. It's definitely a problem.
And it frustrates me because it's like, I can get their point of saying, like on a Dodge truck, let's put the wireless control module, like, or let's put that behind some kind of security because that's what makes the car start and, somebody could steal it. But the brake thing or the air conditioning, climate control doesn't need to be there. Braking doesn't need to be there. Like we need to still make this stuff so that it's like if somebody should go to the local chain store and need a brake job done, and it's the only place that's open and all that kind of stuff, we should be able to provide them with and this is a slippery slope because, I want competent, qualified people working on stuff, but they shouldn't have to tell the customer, sorry, it's only going to be a dealership with service credentials that is going to be able to get your brake job done because we haven't paid the money to service your calipers. I think that's bullshit. Right. They're not there to get a key programmed. They're not there to get a security handshake done with a new ECM. They just want a fucking brake job done. And to lock it behind that module then to me is it's just playing dirty is what it is. So
yeah. I mean, I get it. You're driving people to try to go to the dealership. That's really all that mechanism is for. It's to crush the independents. It's to make one more problem to try to access another system that you should have access to begin with. We're dealing with this, I own it, but I don't own it.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me fired up.
Yeah.
It's anything that BMW, subscription services for heated seats.
Yeah.
Why are we not burning down dealerships?
But see, we can thank Tesla for that because he was the first one that I ever heard of that was like, oh, if you want certain features on the car to be there, all you got to do is subscribe and we turn it on. And now, like everybody, just like you said, is adopting that, where it's like when the warranty's up, or like we'll shut those features off. Yeah. And we'll just turn them back on. It drives me absolutely asinine, ridiculous that somebody in a little room with a bunch of switches and some keyboards can turn on functions in my car that I can't because I decide I want to pay money. I own the car. How it was conceived and built is how it should stay. Right. Minimum.
Well, that was the first case. You brought up Tesla. That was kind of the first case of a Tesla was bought at an auction. It was then repaired.
Yeah.
It was put back online on Tesla, And Tesla eliminated features and said, well, you didn't pay for those.
Yeah.
Well, I bought the car at auction. What are you talking about? Those features are features that come with the car when I purchased it at auction. I haven't followed up on that case. I probably need to. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still in litigation, to tell you the truth. That's insane. Like, how do you not do that? And the only like silver lining in that whole cloud is that what it's going to do is drive the more computer literate people to go, oh, how do I crack that?
Mm-hmm.
How do I communicate with the Tesla and limit its communication to Tesla servers and just tell it, don't worry about it, turn everything on?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a shame, because then there's going to be legislation for that. Oh, you're stealing. Well, I'm not. I'm actually doing everything my car is supposed to do. Like, there's a whole argument there. I get that. You know, it's really frustrating to see, honestly, because honestly, I think, you know, I'm 47 years old. I think we're the last generation that understands, hey, when I buy something, I have it. I tried to explain to my 15-year-old son the difference between local data being stored on his laptop and what is the cloud.
Yeah.
He didn't get it.
No.
He did not understand what that is, the difference between, you know, I have him turned on vinyl, man, right? So I have a bunch of vinyl. I'm like, dude, you have all this music to listen to, all of it. No one can tell you, oh, I'm sorry, you have to download that first. Or, oh, I'm sorry, that comes with ads.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough. It's tough to hold that line of, I own it, I have it, I should be able to use it.
That was my biggest beef with the idea of having an iPod. I can remember my ex-girlfriend years ago bought me an iPod. And before that, I was just rocking an MP3 player. When somebody showed me an iPod, it's like, wait a minute. So I got to take all the music I already have and put it on your server before I can use it on your machine. Yet I already own this music. I can put it on my own laptop and put it on an MP3. Why the fuck do I need an iPod then? Oh, it's an iPod. And that was enough for me to say I've never owned an iPhone. I never will own a product. Like, I'm just against that.
Right.
The idea that like I have to give it to them before I can use it. No, it's mine. I bought those CDs off of Columbia House when I was
Columbia House, right?
I got 12 for a penny. They're fucking. I'm not putting them on your server to put them onto your machine. Like, it's crazy.
And then to ask for authorization to play them. You know, it's insanity to me.
So you got a young person recently.
Oh yeah.
How's that going?
Well, I tell you what, it's funny that you brought up kind of like the independent. He's kind of had the same experience in a shorter interval. You know, he's 21.
Yeah.
But he's worked at independent shops and he's worked at dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing a lot is deprogramming because he's had shitty management. And that's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a good kid. He's got a good heart. He's very intelligent. He can definitely read and comprehend better than me, which is a very valuable tool to have. But he has been taught, like, I think his line is like, oh, I messed up, I'll pay for it. Well, it's not paying for it. It's the lesson I want you to learn on why you messed it up. Yeah. Paying for it doesn't make everything okay, right? It doesn't just go away. Yeah. Like, I want you to learn and make the lesson of, oh, if I slowed down, or if I looked up the proper diagnostic procedure for this, or if, hey, I paid attention on what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. It's that slow it down and make everything more simple. I'm deprogramming a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Because, you know, again, I'm a little older. I didn't believe in peanut allergies and all these other things. But, dude, I'll tell you, this kid might die. He runs into a pack of peanuts. I've seen him puff up so fast, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
So then we have to watch what he brings in, what the customer cars. I can't have him dig through glove boxes. Mm-hmm. You know, when you have a technician that carries an EpiPen in his toolbox, I get it. I understand it. But he's worked for dealerships that have treated him like garbage because of that. You know, I get it. I may have not subscribed to it until I saw it. but it's legit. He's not making this crap up. Like I've watched him turn pink and get welts up his arm because he touched a wrapper, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. It's just a lot of deprogramming. I wouldn't keep him if he didn't have a good head on his shoulders, and that's really what it's about.
And
You know,
it frustrates me when I'm still engaging in the groups and whatnot, and I see people, talk about the young people, and especially like, oh, if they come from a dealership, like I don't even want them because they're going to have so many bad habits. And if they come from an independent, I don't want them because like they're not going to have the level of quality that I expect, for my high end. And I'm like, man, when you don't realize like it's traumatic to leave a job that you've had, whether you were fired or whether you quit, it's traumatic. So you have that to deal with when they get in there. And then like, I know the first month at any new job, I am not me because I am like trying so hard not to, I'm trying to really hard to remember everybody's name. I'm trying to remember like clock in. What's my number now? Like I can remember my tech number in 2004, but what am I now? I'm 1289. Okay. That's
3510, right? All day long, right? Exactly.
To remember, right? And then it's like, and I'm trying not to screw up.
Right.
Not to screw up. I'm trying to get the paperwork right. Last month I was using Techmetric DVIs. Now I'm back to a pad and a paper again. Like,
right.
all this stuff. So when we get these young people in here and they go, oh my God, they're just not getting it. They're stupid or no, but you literally have to take them and expect that you're going to have to back them up, just like you said, deprogram them, refresh that hard drive or whatever, and like pat them on the shoulder and go, you're going to get it. It's going to be okay. Like here's what you're doing really well. Here's what I love about what you're already doing. Like you're taking to this like that. Perfect. Here's what I need you to do though. I need you to not make such a fucking mess.
Right.
Be like that. Don't be like, does everybody make a mess like where you were? It's like that's not productive. That's not how you do that.
Right. He told me stories of being an independent where the guy would throw stuff at him.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm just going, listen, first off, that doesn't happen here. We'll figure it out. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a debrief anyway.
Yeah.
Because they need that little bit of extra assistance because they've had a shit experience for the last 2 years at other places, and the difference is you can tell immediately whether they have the right stuff or not. I really do believe in that because, I worked at the Nissan dealership and, I went from having 2 bays, right, to one kid showing up randomly and he's like, oh yeah, I'm working in this bay. And I immediately went to certain, I'm like, what are you doing? Well, yeah, he's going to work here. And I'm watching him nod off, taking tests online to get Nissan certified. I'm like, you're not going to last here. And I'm going to make sure you're not going to last here because I'm already a dick. So, but you get a feel for people and I trust, are you a legitimate person here for the right reasons? I'm going to go out of my way to fix your training, to adapt your work style, to how you troubleshoot, to the knowledge that you need. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to find the answers. I'm not a tell you the answers guy.
Definitely.
I hate that.
Yep.
I'm going to show you how to find your answers and then progress down the tree of diagnosis and troubleshooting and estimates and all that fun stuff. Because I want to build you. I'm not interested in just grinding you down to nothing. There's nothing to be gained from that.
And that lesson, that answer that they go find on their own, they will always hold it more valuable than all the answers we ever give them. I can still remember one of the best kids I ever mentored, Oliver's his name. He's gone on to do incredible things, but it's these lessons we have. We had a Saturn Vue that they changed the engine in. And when it was done, it didn't start. And Oliver comes over to me and of course, this is at a rather toxic shithole of a shop that we both and it had really bad culture, and it had a real, I've talked about him, the shop foreman was the only gentleman that, like, if I saw him walking on the side of the road to this day, it would be everything I could do to not jerk the wheel towards where he's walking. It's still that much. 20 years later, it's that. But anyway, Oliver gets tasked with swapping this engine out, and when it doesn't start, he hooks it up, and there's like 20 codes in the thing. And he goes over, and he's got 20 codes in it. And the guy's shooting his mouth off, the foreman. Oh, fucking probably needs an engine computer. Probably dropped the computer out. And I'm thinking, how does that happen from changing the engine? That doesn't make any sense at all. But okay, whatever. So Oliver, by now, he'd been there long enough to know that, like, that guy, troubleshooting wasn't his strength. In one ear,
hold out, just shooting parts, right?
So he comes to me and he goes, I go, so what's it doing? And he goes, oh, it's got a bunch of codes and it doesn't start. And I go, well, what's missing? He goes, I don't really know yet. I go, okay, just go over and see if you got spark. So he goes over and he comes back and says, I got no spark. I go, so what do you have at your coils? And he comes back to me and he says, like 10 minutes later, he's like, I've only got 5 volts at the coils. And I'm like, every coil? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so, and me, I don't know what's wrong with this car, but I go, so Oliver, let's think for a minute. Have you ever seen a coil in your life yet that operated on 5 volts? No. So I said, well, that's where I would start then, is try to figure out why all your coils only have 5 volts. And I said, don't get overwhelmed with the fact that it's got 15 codes in it. Just think about, like, pull your wiring diagram.
Basics. Right.
Ended up being, Dory, that there's 2 connectors that will swap on that engine.
Oh my goodness.
So it ended up like having an EGR swapped with a cam sensor or something like that, right? So, well, he fixed it. Like in an hour later, the car's running. He, to this day, we talk about that and we joke about that, and we remember when the asshole said it needed an ECU? Thank fuck we didn't listen to that guy, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good feeling.
That lesson, and I didn't teach him a lesson. I just, like, think about this way, Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now, I know it became part of his process on how he approaches a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other guy could offer nothing but background noise.
Mm-hmm. That,
thank God, there was somebody else there, me, to say, disregard that. To shut off all the other external shit. Don't get over. Let's just think about this from basics. And I am proud to be able to say that, like, that guy now does troubleshooting remotely for one of the largest fleets in North America on their DEF and reductant and after treatment systems on these buses.
Wow.
So that's something that, like, and this is not me bragging, but I mean, the little things that we think mean nothing when we're in the shop can have such an effect on the people that are around us that shape their whole process. And the process, ladies and gentlemen, is what shapes your trajectory. And your trajectory is what your life becomes. People hear me say all the time, there is no ceiling for this person or that person. It's the truth. If you set them up, they will run out of time before they run out of potential. But you have to build that foundation with these people. So when we get these young people in here and they're no good, or, man, they're good. They are good. They are better than we were. It's just different, right? Like, it is just different. And
well, it's different. And I always think back on, when I get frustrated with a 21-year-old, because what do I have in common with a 21-year-old? You know what I mean? Like, I have lots of answers. I could give him an answer to literally every problem in his life right now.
Yep.
Is he going to listen? No. So at the end of the day, I go, okay, I'm frustrated. What can I show him tangibly that is going to give him a building block? I could tell you, all the answers, but that's not the fun part. Mm-hmm. Humans only get better through trial and tribulation. I really believe that the only way we learn, honestly, is trials and tribulations, to where you can go, man, this sucks. How am I going to get better? Oh my God, I fixed it. Yeah. Oh my God. I fixed it, right? There's no feeling. I don't care what drugs, sex, rock and roll, they're all great. Fix a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Fix a problem that no one else can. It's right into the veins. You're just like, dude, I got this, right?
It's a dangerous path. It becomes like a drug, because then it's like I 100% am convinced some of the people that we know in our circles that are like doing these nightmare cars that other shops couldn't get through. If you think that they're not addicted to that, you're kidding yourself. They are certainly 100% getting off on the fact that it's like, I did another one.
Yep. Absolutely.
My friend, it frustrates him when he gets a car from somewhere else and it seems simple to him. But I've known Brian a long time now, and I know that he would not be Brian if he wasn't at that level and constantly pushing himself, getting that kick.
That fix. Yeah.
Yeah, that fix, right? Like, it's in my heart, man. Like, I'm ready for it. Like,
yeah, bragging rights alone. I mean, that's, to be able to do something like that and go, yeah, duh. We've had stuff like that. And here's the double-edged sword of that. A lot of times those jobs don't pay.
That's right.
That's the double-edged sword. So you get to be the hero. You get the happy ending. You get your fix. How do you explain to a customer 6 hours of diagnosis?
Mm-hmm.
That's even for me, that's a tough sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is why we need to be charging the 1 hour diags on the cars.
You get up on the downside, and you get, absolutely. Yeah.
That's going to, and it sounds of late like I'm always trying to say nobody should be doing free diags. Listen, whatever you want to do in your market, whatever, it's you. Like, there's enough to go around. We can't fix all the cars. But like for me, that's what it boils down to me is like, I know at the dealer, like I had some that took me 3 hours and I got paid an hour. But that I had ones that like I looked at the work order, walked out, put the key in it, hit the switch, heard it, walked back inside. I had 6 minutes in it and I collected 36 minutes. That all evened out.
Right. And it's fair. Like a lot of people don't understand that listen, I come across problems that I've already had.
Yeah.
And it takes me 8 minutes to do it. But in the long run, there's about maybe 4 people that would know that in the 50-mile radius of our area, just because I've experienced it. Yeah. Should I not get paid the full amount? No, I should get paid for what I know. Yeah. And I have the special tools in my toolbox that makes the job easy. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't understand that. Our loved ones are probably the hardest on us, right? I have that discussion with my wife regularly. Flat rate. I don't understand flat rate. I don't understand. Well, you didn't spend that time on it. Why should you get paid? Because I already lost my ass.
That's exactly it.
4 other cars ago. Yeah. It's time for me to make my money now because now I know. Yeah. And it's difficult to explain, but at the same time, did the car get fixed? Absolutely. Does it run like a top? Does it do everything it's supposed to do? Absolutely. Was everybody happy? Absolutely. Then let's go with that.
He's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and see, the thing is, like when I explain to people the two sides of the flat rate coin, and they go, well, I paid for 2 hours and you had it done in 45 minutes. That's not fair. Then the other side is when I say to them, it took me 3 hours and only got paid 1, they say you're crazy. Mm-hmm. So like, this is the life we choose and this is the life we live in. And we've made we're at peace with it, right? If you want to work flat, you're at peace with that. It's not for me anymore, not because I can't do it. I keep saying that again, but because it's too much as control has been taken away now to where I have to, the kind of cars that they would give me, like I'm not going to diagnose them for 36 minutes anymore. Even if I could, I'm not going to. I'm going to slow down, gather even more evidence, document even more things. It's just a slower process now because I'm not trying to hit a number. I'm trying to solve the problem. I'm trying to fix the car. And that means collecting evidence, collecting information. I'm trying to create lessons that I can share, case studies that I can pass on. That all eats into the time. So, it's not because I can't get the work done in a timely manner. I can't diagnose the cars pretty fast. Some of them I still can.
Right.
But it's I'm giving more value now when I can do the tests above and beyond what I already know to prove it out even more. That's value now. And that's just how I choose to go. What's the future look like for you guys? What's your goals?
I'm trying very hard to grow our bays. We've talked about building. The borough that we're in and the local government that we're in is going to be difficult. I would love to go to more bays because I think we have a lot to offer. I think we have a fantastic storage of experience.
Right.
Both me and my business partner, we're getting older. We have bad shoulders, we have bad hips, physically we can't do it. But man, I think I can really teach the right people to really be a kick-ass team.
Mm-hmm.
We've also talked about shifting more into used cars. You have more control over used cars.
Yeah.
It's not such a timeline. It's not, oh my God, they have to get this to work tomorrow. And if you put out good quality there, again, you can crush local competition.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you seen cars come from some other small independent car lot that has check engine lights and air suspension lights and brake lights on? And you're just going, what are you doing? Like, why are you selling cars like this? And again, if you just do what you say you're going to do, people are happy to pay a premium because no one else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're looking at kind of a bunch of expansion models. All I know is in the future, I'm going to work on cars less. That is like, I can't, I talk about it's the mileage, it's not the age.
Yeah.
Run a slide hammer. I can't do a slide hammer.
Yeah.
My
same.
elbow and my shoulder are out of commission for 2 days. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I pounded spindles on. I did a Volkswagen Jetta last week, and the struts where they go down into the spindle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pounding up on the bottom of the spindle to get it to slide on with a 3-pound sledge, like short handle. What I didn't fish this weekend because this hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rod with that. So, in the old days, I could run an air hammer in the morning and I could run one in the afternoon. I could knock the ball joints out, take the rivets right off, put the Dodge Dakota ball joint recall. We'd do them in 12 minutes. Like people, you can't. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You crush it.
Did it. Now I'm the same slide hammer. No, I can't do tires anymore. If I do a bunch of tires in the morning, in the afternoon, I'm sitting down.
Yeah, I took a break from doing tires, so we didn't have tire machine at our shop for about 6 years.
Nice.
And then we had a dealership that was updating all their equipment, and I got the Primo, road force balancer, the dealer machine, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. And I bang out my first 4, and I spend the rest of the day limping. I'm like, oh, wow, I haven't done this in 6 years. There's a difference. And it's a very difficult lesson to learn because up here, I'm still the 25-year-old. Oh, I can boom, 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 boom. We'll bang that out. Okay, good. What's next? And I'm used to doing that. Yeah. And when the body lags, it's not fun and it's very humbling. Yeah. And so we're making that shift to consulting, teaching, passing on our experience, because I tell you what, what's really fun is showing up a 21-year-old on how to do a job.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah, it is. And it's but then I know that I only have to show that 21-year-old once and then
yes,
what?
He's got it. Tomorrow he'll blow the doors off it and be like, oh, keep up, old man. And part of me, I smile inside, man. I'm like, all right, good. You get it. Good. Thank you. One, I'm going to make sure I take care of you. Mm-hmm. That's a big part in this industry.
Yes.
And I hear you talk about all the time. I hear anybody in this industry talk about you have to take care of your employee. You have to. The
Yeah.
days of the revolving door, I remember working at Nissan, guys would show up in the morning with a Craftsman top load toolbox with like 6 tools in it, and they would quit by lunch and go home.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't work. And I've seen them too. They roll in with a cart and they got some tools in it. And, by Friday they're rolling out, or the second Friday, they first pay.
Wait for that paycheck, right?
Yeah. They got their first paycheck and the boss is like, yeah, I don't, we kind of needed somebody more experienced. And we thought maybe, what they're saying is it's like, you're taking too long or you don't have enough experience. And both of them, to me, I look at as like, we're failing them, because they just might not have it where they can't look at that and go, okay, in order to get that alternator out of here, I have to move this and this and this and this and this. And I'll tell everybody, I'm not one of those techs that can look at that and see it. I remember the first Ford Escape alternator I did. I took so long thinking that there's no possible flipping way to remove the axle to take the fucking alternator out of a car. That must fit. Now I do them in like 45 minutes. But like I was like 3 hours because I'm convinced there's got to be a way. There's got to be some mystical combination of tools and holding your tongue right, and it'll squeak through. You don't have to fucking axle. What was the big deal about taking the axle out? Like I should have just done it.
It's mental.
It's mental. It's all up here, right? Because I'm not that way. I'm looking over and that guy's like, why don't you just take the axle out? And I'm like, why is that car still not starting? Like you've been down. That's how I was, right? This is my strength. This is not my strength. That's strength. That's not your strength. And that's just who we were, and it takes all kinds. Dory, I don't want to keep you any longer, man. This has been a long night for both.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate coming on, man.
Dude, man, the kind words that you've been saying and all that kind of stuff, it really, it's really nice to hear. And that's the thing. Like, we're starting to really feel like we're making some traction in terms of actually getting, people to think about what really this is going to take to change this. And, I like you said at the beginning, you're having the conversations and asking the questions and giving the answers that nobody wants to do. I love the tough questions. I love the issues. I think that I'm in such a comfortable place now about like, this is where we want to head as an industry. And like, it's just going to take more of these conversations. They're not that bad.
They're not. And I, more than anything, I really wanted to give you an honest thank you to bringing attention to suicide rates. That was something that was really heartfelt on one of your other episodes, that this is an issue, and it's something that is very close to me for situations that I've dealt with. But thank you so much for bringing, because the more we talk about it and the more we bring it to light, that when you have good people being treated poorly, causing issues like that, we got to talk about it. It shouldn't be that way. It's the bottom line. It shouldn't be that way. So thank you very much for bringing that to light. That was something that really touched my heart. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the time, man. I really do.
In closing on that, like, I've never had a baymate that's gone, that way. I had a good friend take his own life 2 years ago, and he didn't work in the industry. And I've got my brother who's struggled, in the past with some PTSD from his job and all that kind of stuff. And it's been in some dark places a lot. And when I think about what he has had to go through to earn a living, and then I think about, because he's a correctional officer, and I think about what we have to do. Like, we're only dealing with cars. It shouldn't be that bad dealing with cars that we feel that way. He's dealing with criminals. Like the worst of the worst, people that are trying to kill him or would kill him if they could get away with it. That is heavy on you. You see the ugliness all day long. We are just working on cars. If we are in this blue collar job And it is so bad from working on cars that we see no other way out than the industry is broken. Yeah. It's okay to say that it's broken, because that means that if we acknowledge that it's broken, we go about fixing it. And that's all there is to this. It's just that simple. So anyway.
Yeah. So I kind of giggled a little bit with my background, what I have going on here, right? My wife is a therapist.
Oh, cool.
So I commandeered her office just to do the video conference. I thought this was good to do the podcast. So if anyone out there feels enlightened, maybe you had a good therapy session, but she deals with drug and alcohol addiction. Yeah. And she sees it every day. I have family members that went through it. And we're at a point where I believe everyone can find somewhere along the line you deal with it. And find the help.
Yeah.
Find the help. Get the therapy. Talk to somebody. I don't care if it's a therapist. I don't care if it's a loved one. Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Get the help you need. Please.
Anyone that's watching and listening, you can always reach out to me. I will, if you're in this industry and you're feeling that way, don't wait. Get a hold of me. Right. And then we'll have the conversation. We'll have the talk. You will feel better for sure. Dory, awesome. Thank you, brother, for being here. We'll have. I want to see how your young person's working out. I want to see the shop, which direction you take it. So, and as everybody, as always, I love you. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.